Full time in the New Zealand versus Ireland match. An exceptional game. 23-13, New Zealand All Blacks take it, and they deserve the victory. The scoreline was not as close as I would have expected. I thought it was going to be about like a 3-point margin in between the teams, and it could have gone either way, but New Zealand did an exceptional job of taking advantage of the opportunities. And Ireland, although they had an incredibly strong defense today, the penalties is what absolutely killed them in this match. And there were just ball handling errors that that were unforced errors, and New Zealand capitalized on it. Damian McKenzie, man of the match, and he deserves it 100%. And I will also say that Gibson Park of Ireland deserves man of the match as well. He is an absolute tank, and he was just everywhere on the field today. But Damian McKenzie was the ultimate man of consistency today. He ran the team, and he was calling his marks and just putting everybody in the right place that they needed to be, and nailing all of his kicks except for one, all of his penalty goals except for one. And I think Damian McKenzie well-deserved the man of the match today. But overall, it was incredible vibe. I loved the match from beginning to end. The first half I felt was both teams were unsettled. There were a lot of mistakes happening, ball handling errors, a lot of penalties conceded early in this match. And Ireland was just at the brunt of most of those penalties conceded and just couldn't get that rhythm and consistency and flow going. And New Zealand, they were going into half leading. So it was still a tight match, but both teams to me look unsettled. There was a yellow card for a high tackle against Jordie Barrett that went to mitigation. It looked like it could have been a red, but it turned out to be a yellow. I felt that those are those tough calls, right? As I'm watching the match, it didn't look it didn't look egregious to me because he was going for the wrap, and it was just a change of level with both players, and it just so happened. So it was high contact. I understand the yellow, but it was one of those things that could have gone either way. And there were some questionable calls by the ref today, and I didn't agree with some of them. Like the early play that I'm thinking of is when Jordie Barrett got called for a penalty for obstruction when that high ball was happening, and I believe Will Jordan fielded it. But that was a call that I didn't agree with, and there were a lot of questionable calls today from the ref side of things, so I would like to see that cleaned up. But it was one of those matches where New Zealand, they put it all together in all the phases of the game, and I feel like they capitalized. Their attacking was exceptional. Defense was great on New Zealand. Their turnover ability was exceptional, and I felt like they were putting phases together and creating good set plays and taking advantage of Ireland, and taking advantage of those penalties that were being called. Ireland did a fantastic job defensively, I would say. Their defense looked stout. They looked solid. They were making strong, dominant tackles, but on their attacking side, they were not able to capitalize on the attacking side of the ball. And that first try that they had, it was just a beautiful set. It's a beautiful setup. They came out of that scrum on the left side of the pitch, and they rolled it all the way to the right side where Van der Flier ended up completing the try. And it was just a beautiful setup because they pushed the All Blacks on their heels, got that tackle, and forced that 5-meter scrum. And then they were just able to take advantage. So they did an exceptional job there in that 5-meter entry. And I thought that's when their momentum would have really kicked in. But New Zealand did a good job of settling down. I think that's all credit to Damian McKenzie, and they put it together. And I do have to say, I love that Rieko Ioane led the Haka to start off the game because of that controversy between him and Johnny Sexton, what happened in the World Cup last year with the exchange of words and that confrontation they had. I thought it played into the entertainment and that theater value of this match. And I really love that Ireland approached the Haka as it was happening. They accepted that challenge, and instead of sitting back 20 meters, they went forward, and you see Bundy Aki, he just had that aggressive face, like he was ready for war. And I just love that Rieko Ioane led the Haka and that New Zealand played into that. I think it was absolutely beautiful, and it was just like, it was the chef's kiss, I will say. Love this match. New Zealand, man, I really love how New Zealand's putting together that last 20 minutes of the match. Earlier this year, we were not seeing that, and now we're seeing them put together the last 20 minutes, and they're starting to look solid and cohesive. Caleb Clark, he's an exceptional player. Will Jordan, man, that guy is hyper consistent. Who else would it be but Will Jordan to score the first try for the All Blacks today? And he played incredible. James Lowe, I just love seeing him play, man. That guy is hyper consistent as I've seen him and learned about him through Six Nations and seeing him now. He shows up in the big moments and he's just ultra consistent. I love seeing James Lowe play. Gibson Park is exceptional. Overall, it was a fun match. I just think there were a lot of penalties on the Irish side that they'll have to clean up. And maybe it's just from, I'm not sure what it's from, actually. I can't call it because they had some solid test matches against South Africa this year. But New Zealand was able to capitalize, and they looked strong in the last 20 minutes of the match, creating turnovers and holding that ball at the possession time and just closing the match out full time. But overall, loved it. Let's take a look at the stats and see how it all played out. 23-13, Ireland loses to New Zealand at home, and Aviva Stadium is absolutely beautiful. I love the setup of that stadium. It is just, I have to visit it in person. I hope to get out there by Six Nations next year and visit all the stadiums, Principality, Twickenham, Aviva. I want to get out there, and Murraysfield. I have to get out there by next year and experience those stadiums live because just the beauty and pageantry of the stadiums. But we're looking at the flow chart. Time in the lead, New Zealand takes it, 35 minutes in the lead compared to Ireland's 21 minutes, 44% of the game over 26% of the game. New Zealand led in that category. 33% possession time for New Zealand compared to the 67% for the last 10 minutes. Ireland won that category, and then no points in the last 10 minutes of the game. Looking at the key events, it was all penalty kicks to start off the first half. And so we started off with Crowley in the first 7 minutes. He gets the 3 points on that penalty goal. He converts that. Then you have Mr. Consistency himself, Damian McKenzie, gets 3 penalty goals at the 9th, 28th, and 37th minute, making the score 9-3. Barrett goes off at the 39th minute, the minute before the first half, with a yellow card for that high tackle. And then Crowley gets the penalty goal, bringing the score to 6-9 going into half. And so it's anybody's match at this point. And Ireland did a fantastic job coming out in the first 2 minutes and putting New Zealand on their heels, getting that 5-meter scrum, and then taking advantage of that entry area, that 5-meter, where Flier scores a beautiful try. They swing it all the way from the left side of the field to the right side of the field. Exceptional play. Crowley gets the conversion. And then we have McKenzie with 3 more penalty goals. So with Crowley getting his conversion at the 43rd minute, it was 13-9. Ireland takes the lead. And then we had McKenzie setting up to be 13-12 at the 48th minute. McKenzie at the 61st minute, taking the lead with a 15-13 lead over Ireland, and the 64th minute extending the lead 18-13. And this is when I thought that Ireland was going to start putting things together, but they just continue to keep shooting themselves in the foot. We had Frawley missed that fielding. He knocked it on, or he mishandled it, and dropped the ball, and just gave the All Blacks that advantage in that field positioning. So there was mistakes by Ireland that they have to clean up, but New Zealand did an exceptional job taking advantage of it and turning those mistakes into advantages and points in their favor, which is good to see. And they've really cleaned up the last 20 minutes of their game, which is awesome to see for New Zealand. And then we have Will Jordan himself scoring the try at the 68th minute, taking the score 23-13, and that would be the full time, the last point scored in this match. And so, it's just who else but Will Jordan. This man is hyper consistent from me watching all of his matches. We only had 2 tries scored in this game. The rest were penalty kicks, and I just feel like McKenzie did an exceptional job in that jersey today, man. He led the team. He commanded them very well, and he deserved the man of the match today. And the New Zealand played incredible. I think Ireland defensively played incredible. Their attacking didn't look as structured as it usually does, but I think that was because New Zealand did an exceptional job, bringing that aggression to him, bringing that physicality to Ireland. And it's just one of those matches that could have gone either way, but New Zealand did an exceptional job enforcing their will upon Ireland and keeping them out of the try area. So looking at the 22-meter entry, we have Ireland with 1.4 points scored, average points, 1.8 for New Zealand, 7 entries for Ireland compared to 6 for New Zealand. Looking at the attacking profile, New Zealand won all categories except for the 22-meter entry, so 7-6. Ireland won that category, but for 22-meter conversions, that's the 1.83 goes to New Zealand compared to the 1.43 for Ireland. Line breaks 9-1. Wow, that's a huge discrepancy in line breaks. New Zealand really owned that category. Carries 118 carries to 86. Kicks 27-23. And post-contact meters, 317 to 176. New Zealand wins all those categories. So the attacking side of New Zealand was dominant today from what I was watching. Caleb Clark did an awesome job. Rico, we had Artie Savia doing exceptional as always. And Damian McKenzie did a great job of placing the ball, finding meters behind the defensive line, and, basically getting better field position for New Zealand. And the defensive profile, Ireland won every category except for turnovers one, where they tied with New Zealand. So dominant tackles, 16-3. Ireland takes it. Tackles made, 153-99. Tackles missed, 30-15. Ireland wins those categories. They're both tied on turnovers one, which is 6 apiece. Tackle turnovers, 5-1. Ireland, and tackle offloads allowed, 9-8. Ireland allowed. Looking at the ruck speed, in the 0 to 3 second range, 59% goes to Ireland compared to 42% for the All Blacks. 3 to 6 range, 24% compared to the 36% ruck speed. All Blacks take that. They have the advantage. And the 6 second range, 18% for New Zealand compared to the 9% for Ireland. And we had 92 total rucks for the All Blacks compared to the 58 rucks for Ireland. And all of the last 5 penalties went to Ireland. And that's where Ireland was shooting themselves in the foot. They just didn't do themselves any favor and just conceded penalties the entire match. And, they were behind the power curve in that respect. Looking at stats, from a territory advantage, it was even. It shows 51% to 50%. So I imagine it's going to be an even break because it's at a 101% right there. It's over 100%. But starting from left to right, 13, 38, 22, and 28. But if we're going possession by team, looking at Ireland, and they're starting off in their 22-meter entry, it goes 8, 36, 31, and 25. So a lot of the game was played within both of the 50-meter entries from Ireland, both on their side and the opposing side. And looking at New Zealand, it's similar in that respect. It goes 8, 36, 42, 14. But Ireland had more possession time within the 22-meter entry of New Zealand, and New Zealand had less entry time in their 22-meter with that 14%, but they were just able to take advantage and score the points. And that, from this 42-meter or this 50-meter entry area, this is where just Damian McKenzie was making a living today and just converting all but one penalty goal. And so he did an exceptional job. He was ice cold today, converting all of his kicks. And the one he missed was just barely off the post on the right side. And so he was ice cold today. Looking at the possessions in the last 10 minutes, 66% for Ireland compared to 34% for New Zealand. And possession time, 58% for New Zealand compared to 42% for Ireland. The total number of set plays, they both had 10 scrums apiece. The scrum percentage won was owned by New Zealand, 80% to 70%. 10 total lineouts for Ireland compared to the 9 for New Zealand. And there was a lineout, and it wasn't a straight lineout. And I was looking on Twitter as I was watching the game, and they were talking about, even though it wasn't contested, there was a problem with Nick White, the ref making a bad call. And I want to hear your thoughts on that one, crew, because it looked, I went, oof, like, man, that's bad to get a turnover on that line out for not throwing it straight. But there was some controversy on that one. So I want to hear your thoughts on that line out where it was not straight. Looking at the line out win percentage, 89% to New Zealand compared to 70% for Ireland. Restarts received 8-3. And then 100% of the restarts received 100% apiece for both of them. And the restarts received 8-3. New Zealand takes that category. The attacking profile, New Zealand takes it in all categories: passing, ball carries, post-contact meters, and line breaks. 161 passes to 124. 118 ball carries to 87. 317 meter post-contact to 177, and 9-1 line breaks. The attacking profile for New Zealand was dominant today. Turnovers, they were both tied at 6 apiece for winning, and just a slight advantage or a slight disadvantage. Ireland had 12 and New Zealand had 11 turnovers lost. And so there was a lot of turnovers this game, but it was a lot of forced errors by both defensive. I think both defensive sides were solid on both squads today. I just think that Ireland had more unforced errors and shot themselves in the foot, and New Zealand took advantage of all of those unforced errors and had less. So they did a better job of keeping possession and maintaining control. Looking at the penalties conceded, this to me is the story of the game right here. 13 for Ireland compared to the 5 for New Zealand. 1 yellow card for New Zealand, and credit and kudos to Ireland for taking advantage of that yellow card with Jordie Barrett being out until about the 49th minute, 48th or 49th minute. Salute to Ireland for taking advantage and putting points on the board, getting a try off of that, and taking advantage of that of the man down. Looking at the defensive profile, that's where I feel that Ireland was strong, and then they just didn't do a good job of attacking, but their defense played really well today. Looking at the tackles made, 153 to 100, Ireland takes that category. Tackles missed, 30. Compared to the 14, so that's sort of a loss that's a loss. They had a little over double tackles missed compared to New Zealand. New Zealand was making consistent tackles, so that means they were disciplined. And tackle completion percentage, 88% for New Zealand, 84% for Ireland. And then total kick ratio, 27 to 23 for the All Blacks. And the kick to pass ratio, 1 to 6 ratio for New Zealand compared to 5.4 for Ireland. I just really enjoyed this match. I think it was high-class rugby. I just have to give a massive salute to New Zealand for playing a disciplined game. I know they had that yellow card, and it's one of those yellow cards that happened because the pace of the game, and it was a high tackle, but it was one of those ones that it's happening so fast that it's hard to adjust your body in that speed. And that's just from my perspective that's what I saw. And I really enjoyed this match. I really thought it was going to be closer of a game, like within a 3-point spread of, either side. But New Zealand did an exceptional job of staying disciplined. Damian McKenzie did a great job commanding the team and leading. And New Zealand stepped up and took advantage of the opportunities and the penalties that were conceded by Ireland. Ireland did great defensively, but where they shot themselves in the foot was the penalties, and I just think that was the storyline of the match, where Ireland just was not as disciplined in that respect, and that's where they lost the points on the board. And I would just love to hear your thoughts. Did you enjoy the game? I would love to hear your insight on the reffing. I think the reffing was it needs work. It needs work. There were some calls on there that I highly disagree with, and we're gonna see how this autumn series continues to pan out. There's a massive weekend of rugby ahead of us. This one was a beautiful start to the weekend, and salute to both teams. Congratulations to the All Blacks for winning this one. Well deserved, and I love to see that they're putting their last 20 minutes of the match together and having that cohesion and build, and looks like they're getting the right players in place, man. It's good to see, and we'll see how Ireland can rebound from this as they go through this autumn series. And week 2 has been a banger for darn sure. Gibson Park is my man of the match for Ireland. Damian McKenzie is the man of the match for New Zealand. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for all your continued support. I love you. I appreciate you. In our descriptions below, be sure to drop into our Discord, our QSN Rugby Pub, where we connect offline, talk about rugby, upcoming matches, life, and just connect and build our friendship in general. I'm looking forward to chatting with you in there. That'll do it for this one, crew. I love you. I appreciate you. Always stay laser focused on your dreams and your vision. And remember that you're in control. Love you. Peace.